I speak to osteopaths all the time who are feeling a lack of confidence with recalling knowledge from memory. From stressed students with high pressure exams looming to experienced osteopaths who feel a sense of imposter syndrome as soon as they start to forget key pieces of information in practice. Now, unless you have a photographic memory or you're some kind of learning mutant, unfortunately we can't remember everything. But being able to recall information from memory is such an important part of feeling like a confident student and practitioner. So in this video, we're going to be covering the forgetting curve, a primary piece of research done by German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus. We're also going to uncover 5 steps that you can start practicing today that has resulted from his research, so that the next time you need to recall a piece of information from memory, you'll be able to recall it as if you'd studied it yesterday. Welcome back to the van, people. My name is Alan Zaya. I'm an osteopath and I'm on a mission to bring osteopaths together to learn everything that there is to know about business, marketing, and productivity. The forgetting curve shows how things slip from our memory over time unless we take action to prevent that from happening. Ebbinghaus wanted to learn more about why we forget things and how to prevent it. He in fact studied on himself by trying to recall a list of nonsense syllables over different periods of time. Here's what his work found about being able to recall information from memory at different stages of time. Memories weaken over time. If we learn something new and then make no attempt to relearn that information, we remember less and less of it as time goes by. The biggest drop in retention happens soon after learning, and this is reflected by the steep fall at the start of the forgetting curve. Next up is that it's actually easier to remember information if it has meaning attached to it. If we're naturally interested in something, we're more likely to remember it. And the same goes for if you know that that piece of information is probably going to be asked of you in the future, let's say like in an exam. Ebbinghaus also discovered that the way that we are presented information changes how effectively we are able to digest it. Information is easier to remember if it's organized logically and clearly presented. And the final key thing that he learned from his experiment was that the way that we feel directly affects how we're able to retain and recall information. The 2 primary suspects here are sleep and stress, as they play a significant part in both of those memory roles. The more stressed and tired we are, the more difficult it is to be able to retain and recall information, which then leads to more stress. It's a little bit of a vicious cycle. So now that we understand more about memory, let's go through 5 take-home strategies that you can start doing today to boost your memory and prevent retention from decreasing over time. First up is to use spaced learning. Now, it turns out that the steepest drop in our memory happens immediately after we absorb the information. It's a bit like when you meet a new person and they tell you their name and you forget it almost immediately. So it's key to revisit that information sooner rather than later. The good news is that regular review sessions will reinforce what you're learning, as each new curve is shallower than the last. Double good news, you can in fact leave longer and longer gaps between each of these review sessions. That's your way to remember that this is spaced learning. The best thing that you can do now is create a physical or digital calendar so that then you can organize when you're going to have these regular review sessions. This will allow you to stretch your recall capabilities and strengthen the new memories encoded in your brain. As a guide, and of course this is going to change as you figure out your own learning style, is that I'd recommend when you learn a new piece of information, revise it 1 day, 2 days, 7 days, and then finally 30 days after you've originally learnt it, and then you can start to tweak as you go along. Number 2 is to get into a state of deep work. Now, many of us think that we are in a place where we're able to study and focus on what it is that we're learning, when in fact we're not. Next time you're going to learn something, tick off these few simple exercises to be able to learn more effectively and faster. First up is to limit distractions. It's an obvious one and you've probably heard it before, but many of us fall at this hurdle. So turn off your phone, get rid of email, cut out your internet altogether if you have to, move into a quiet space like a library, or close the door at your practice office and lock yourself in your treatment room, or even go under the stairs if you have to. It sounds boring and easy, but as Cal Newport explains in his book Deep Work, the key to developing a deep work habit is to move beyond good intentions by adding routine and ritual into our working life. Number 3 is to make information meaningful. Now, we believe that all information can be of some use, and so there's this natural temptation to record everything that we're told, when in fact our primary focus should be on making it as relevant, clear, and purposeful as possible. So let's break down each one of those aspects. In my opinion, the best way to make things clear is to digitize everything. Now, yes, of course, you can absolutely record by hand your first round of notes, but I would highly recommend taking those written notes and turning them into a Word document or even a PowerPoint presentation. So then the next time you go and review them, you don't have to figure out your own handwriting and things are just a lot clearer. Now that you've made your notes clear, you need to make them relevant and purposeful. And the way that you do this is through bullet points. My history teacher in school taught me the value of using bullet points. So you can keep things relevant by not recording all the pieces of information that you're being told. Number 4 is to make things practical. So of course, making your information practical in your mind might be, well, a patient will ask me and I will have to give that information across, or I'll be asked it in exam, so I have to be able to recall it and write it down. But you're going to need more than that, so make the information practical. If you're a student, create study questions or an interactive presentation to teach your study group. Heck, you could even turn into lecturers for the day by asking your audience questions and then your study group asking you questions, and you can confirm each other's answers. Whereas if you're an osteopath who's working alone, I'd highly recommend that you create a how-to study guide for your unique approach, questions, and treatment towards specific conditions. And then once every month or so, meet up with an osteo friend and have a bit of a knowledge exchange, really making that information practical, and heck, it even adds to your CPD hours. Finally, at number 5, embrace those knowledge gaps. So you've gone to recall something and you've forgotten. Don't worry, this is the perfect time to practice and stretch your recall ability. Your best learning is done at this exact moment because it strengthens and reinforces the fact that you need to recover something, going back to those regular review sessions. And it's so powerful because of the mental challenge that's involved in relearning. So now you are equipped with everything you need to be a sage at recording and recalling knowledge. If you like this kind of stuff, I cover the best business and marketing advice for osteopaths in 30 words or less every single Monday in our free newsletter called The Hustle, which you can subscribe to for free down in the video description. Consider leaving a like on this video and even subscribing to the channel. This will push the video to more osteopaths so that we can continue to learn together. If you're a working osteopath, you will love our quiz, where you can find out the good, the bad, and the ugly of your practice so that you can find out how to improve things with pinpoint accuracy. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.